this, a German record label signed
Yeah.
you. And how does that come about?
No, everybody's like, I don't understand how that came about. Well, okay.
Is that through Mike? No.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Word of mouth,
Mike,
really.
yeah.
Well, Zito, on that first cruise I was on, he was trying to drag Tina Terry from Piedmont out to come see me at one of the jams, and she's like, oh, I'll see her when I see her.
Yeah.
And it worked out. Frank Hicks invited Tina Terry to Kansas City, and we played Merle Jam. So she saw us, and she knew, her and Steve Hackett at Piedmont knew that Thomas Roof was looking for a third girl to go on the Blues Caravan, which is the Girls with Guitars 2012.
And that's a tour that pretty much stays in Europe.
Well, it does, but this tour in particular came to the U.S.
That's right.
We had a big U.S. tour, and that's where Piedmont came in and was booking all that stuff. We did Canada, U.S., and I mean, the Girls with Guitars has been great to me. I mean, we went to New Zealand last year. Like, every once in a while, they'll be like, all right, well, we got a new territory. Do you want to do it?
Yeah.
How can I turn down New Zealand?
New Zealand, yeah.
Yes, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But, so Thomas, saw me, pulled me in with the Girls and Guitars, and that kind of segued into a record deal and my own records. And, we started working together. It was really great.
Right.
Yeah.
And now you've got your fourth CD out. I mean, your second on your own name.
Yeah.
2 with Girls with Guitars, and 2 now is Samantha Fish.
Yep.
Black Wind Howlin'.
Yes.
What's the focus of this CD? How is this one different from the last CD that you had?
I just think it's more focused. The Runaway was like my first CD.
Yeah,
And I mean, it all happened so quick. I mean,
right.
It's like I went in to record Girls with Guitars back in 2010 or 11, and then he's like, all right, so when do you want to record your album? I'm like, oh, maybe in 6 months. He goes, okay, well, you have 2.
Yeah.
You have 2 months. We gotta record it in 2 months. So, all right, see you in 2 months. So I mean, everything was just kind of like, all right, we go to Berlin and we did it in a week. And I remember I got really sick during it, and it was just, but I mean, it was a coming out. And it was more of like showing people who you are, and look, I can play, I can sing, I can write. This is what I do.
Yeah.
This record for me it's like, this is more of like a direction. It's just like a sound, It's starting. I feel like I'm starting to define my own sound, which is what you want to do as an artist. So.
Yeah. They all say that the first album is easy because you have great songs written already.
Well, you've been spending your entire life writing that album.
Now, and the second album you had to write in a year or so.
Well, about a year and a half, 2 years. But I mean, you go out and you play these songs, and I mean, I start really just focusing on my influences and, what do I want to be? What do I want to sound like?
Right.
And then you start going in that direction, and it starts feeling more and more natural. And I mean, it was, for me, I thought Black Wind Howlin' was a lot easier to make than Runaway just because of the situation, the circumstances. We just had a lot of time to figure it out.
Sure, and you recorded it down at the Dockside Studios down in Louisiana.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That sounds pretty cool. And Mike Zito, of course, produced it.
He's produced my
everything,
records,
and he's I mean, you mentioned him, how important he is. What are some of the lessons that he has passed along to you?
Pretty much everything. Like, I mean, he's helped me with the business. Anytime I've got a problem, I end up calling him, and he's like, he'll give me the obvious answer, and it's, he always he seems to know what to do with the hard situations.
Yeah. So. How does he handle you in the studio, where he has to be the boss, maybe? And
well, it's a push-pull, I mean, he's always been like, well, it's your record, it's what you want to do, but this is what you need to do. And, he's always right. I mean, the first record, I fought him more on it because, I was really young coming into it. It's like, no, I have to protect these songs. These are my songs, and this is how they have to be.
That's right.
And you don't want anybody to get into it for some reason. And then, the second record, I just kind of, I let go. I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe you do know something. It's really nice to get an extra set of ears on it because they'll hear things that you don't hear.
Yeah.
And, his job is to make it better. And so when I realized that's his job, that's what he's going to do, it turned out a lot better, I think.
Yeah.
So.
And you have the great rhythm section on there of Rico Scott and Charlie Wooten, both from the Royal Southern Brotherhood. Yeah. Somewhat intimidating to play with those two monsters.
Man, they're just the sweetest guys.
I know.
Like, I love Charlie and Rico, and we I got to play with them in Europe this year. Like, I went over to the UK and in Europe with them, and they were basically, I opened for the Royal Southern Brotherhood, and they were my backing band.
Yeah.
and then they played their show and I'd come out and jam with them a little bit. So it was like a really, it was a economic choice for a support act because you use the big band to play
big band.
I'm like pulling the entire RSB on stage. I'm like, all right, no, go back.
I know, yeah.
Put on your big show.
Yeah.
But it was working with those guys. They're big sweethearts, and they're so good in a studio setting because Jan Rico, I can't even fathom how many sessions he's played on. I mean, when he told me his resume, I know. Thought he was kidding. You know, what? But I mean, they just had great ideas. I submit my songs acoustically, basically for a demo. It's like I played acoustically and send it to him, and kind of tell him this is kind of the feel I was thinking for it.
Right,
this is what I was thinking for the drums. I want it to sound kind of like this, and then they just take that and they turn it into this, big, beautiful,
picture, sound, and it's vision,
ready for me to lay down whatever I want to lay down on top of it. And it was just, we got those backing tracks laid and I think it was just a couple days. They're so quick.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now that you've got 2 albums out, what are you working on mastering these days?
Well, I'm writing for my next album because that's always in the works.
We should mention that on your 2 albums, you've got a total of, I think, 22 songs, and all but 2 are originals.
Yeah, I think
all are originals but 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so that you've got
a couple
20,
of them are co-writes,
but
Zito.
all original things. So what are you working on mastering now for your future?
Well, songwriting. I think this next record, I'm really going to focus more. I mean, the songwriting is always important, but just really, what makes a song, stick in somebody's head, and what makes a song great. So I'm just trying to, work on that, which basically means I have to write as much as I possibly can and write a bunch of terrible stuff and then keep just little bits.
Whittling it down. Yeah.
I was talking to, we got to open for John Hyde a couple times in the last year.
Oh,
he's
wow.
my God.
Yes.
He's a hero of mine and my favorite songwriter.
Yeah.
So
I love his stuff.
I just asked him because I'm like, I got a moment. He was outside there behind their tour bus and he was like smoking a cigar after the show and a little fold-up chair. He's just sitting there while they're living here. And so I asked him, I was like, can I just talk to you about songwriting? And he was so nice. And I said, so what do you do? What's your process? Well, basically, I just write a bunch of crap and then, but you just write so much and, you pick out the good stuff.
Right.
And he was the same way. He's like, well, I write bad stuff all the time, so it made me feel a little better.
Yeah. Well, I know for myself as a writer too, sometimes you're going to have those stumbles where you're just not getting anything.
Yeah.
But I know it's always going to come around.
It does.
So I know to trust that I haven't lost it,
And I was like, if a great writer like John Hyatt can write, stuff that he doesn't use, that's great. So it was just really good advice. I mean, that's basically it. You just got to keep doing it. It's like the practice thing.
That's right.
Got to practice at songwriting.
That's right. And practice and to set yourself apart as a guitar player. What are you working on with that?
Wow, just learning as much as I can.
Yeah.
I really, that's a focus of mine. Vocally, guitar, everything I want to get better. I try and take lessons when I can. When I'm in Kansas City, I'm like, I go and I work with a vocal teacher when I can, just to kind of help me. It's like, hey, what do you think I could do better? And just talk to other guitar players. That's all you can do. I mean, I'm actually, musically, I'm trying to get a bunch of different instruments. I bought a piano or like a keyboard last year and lap steel guitar, and just learning how to play other instruments really helps you with the regular stuff.
Do you see more than a trio? What are the advantages of a trio at this point for you?
Well, obviously the economics
advantages,
of course. The space issues, but I love a trio because it's really, you get a really raw kind of a, gutsy thing, and I mean, people love the power trio. I think they get excited about a power trio, but at the same time, I'm hearing songs that I'm writing where I'm like, man, I could really use an extra guitar, like a B3 or a pedal steel on this song, and I just don't have enough people in the band. So of course, you got to think about that, and as an artist, you got to evolve, you got to change, you got to keep moving, and because show business, you got to give them something new to look at.
Because that's what Anna Popovic just did. She was a power trio, and now she's got that.
The big
No
soul band.
Mo Blues, whatever it is, and she's got the soul band with horns and
2 drummers sometimes. I mean, it's huge, it sounds huge, and she's, and it really, for her, it's great, and it props her up. She's like the star in that band, and it's really beautiful. So I mean, I like you know, having options. You know, we did an acoustic show this year, so it's great to go out and be like, well, now we can do acoustic shows, we can do trio shows, and then in the future we can do bigger band shows, and whatever that means.
That's
so
right. Yeah,
it's good to be flexible.
That's right. I like that. So, what are the kids in high school who you went to high school with saying when they see where you are now? Holy
I don't
smokes.
know. I don't really talk to many.
I know. That was the quiet girl in the back, or did?
Well, they didn't know that I played guitar in high school.
That's what
I didn't really talk. I didn't really say much. I mean, God.
It must be a shock to some of the.
I don't know. I don't. You know, with Facebook now the way it is, you'd think we'd all talk more, but every once in a while, you know, I'll get a classmate that'll come out to a show. Yeah. And you know, it's a hit and miss. Sometimes they're real cool about it.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Never hear from them again.
We never knew you could do that. Do you get that?
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes.
I'll bet.
It's always.
What were you in
always
high school?
blows my head up.
Were you an actress?
No.
Quiet kid? Athlete?
I was kind of quiet, you know. I don't know. Yeah. I was more working in the pizza industry. Yeah. I was a pizza kid. I was in my later half of high school. I was working a lot.
Yeah. I
was a working kid. I was pretty quiet, I would say. I mean, I think other people's perception was that I was pretty quiet. I was always very shy. Public speaking was a nightmare for me. And, you know, to a degree, it still kind of is a little bit, you know. I get a little. Yeah. I would cry when I had to give book reports in elementary school.
Yeah. Well, you know, when you're out there playing your music too, I taught speech class in high school as one of my subjects. That guitar is a nice little barrier between you and the audience, and you can, you know, it must. Do you often take the guitar off and sing without it?
At jams, I do that, but I turn into like Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands. I stand there, I'm like, what? You know,
right.
So you know, I got to learn how to do be a front person like that. But that just comes from watching Mick Jagger videos.
I know. So. Well, we're so glad that you're here, and
thank you.
Just best of luck with everything else you do.
Thank you.
And I just look forward to seeing you on the water
yes.
and here. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Art Tipaldi, editor of Blues Music Magazine. We're here at Don Odells Legends with Samantha Fish. Enjoy the show.